Okay, now what we're going to be discussing today, the healthy options for nutrition environments in schools. Healthy ones, groups, randomized trials using implementation models to change nutrition policy in environments in low-income schools. The author is Karen J. Coleman and others, and it will be presented by Kara Gallegos Corona. Okay, now for the introduction, we will be talking about the purpose of the research. And the purpose of this study was to figure out how to improve and implement public school nutrition policy and environment. And also to work on healthy options for nutritional environments in school. And they came up with a study, and it was called the Healthy Ones. This was more or less designed to address some of the limitations of the previous school environment and policy, and also to work on some of the interventions by adopting the EBPH Institute for Healthcare Improvement. And that's where they come up with the IHI, which was the rapid improvement for the school nutrition policy and environment change. And this basically focused on how to enact organization change by using specific implementation cycles. So what does this all mean? Okay, let's talk about a little bit nutrition. So basically what this boils down to is that our students have become very obese, and the school need to come up with a program that incorporated not just good nutrition but also physical activity to where it coincided together so they can decrease the obesity that has just gotten way out of hand with our children in over the last decade. This is the largest it has been in history. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Healthy for life. I like that slide. Now, good nutrition creates health in all areas of your existence. All parts are interconnected. And that is so true. We are what we eat. So we need to get our children more involved. And this is what this is what the research was. It was based on getting all the different kids and focusing on which kids needed to which one would be more the target area, and what and how that area needed to be implemented. Okay, now the review of literature. Okay, well, we'll start with one. One of them was healthy use places promoting nutrition and physical activity. Well, David wrote about an article discussing the proper nutrition and importance of having an active physical lifestyle. And we can more than on many occasions account for, again, like I say, we are we are what we eat. So if we are a product of our environment, if we're only associating with hamburgers and fast food, and we're not exercising, of course, the end result is obesity. Okay, the next one is schools and obesity prevention. And that article was about creating school environments and policy to promote healthy eating and physical activity. And that was by Mary Storr. It was basically, she just went a little bit in depth about how students did not meet the dietary guidelines for the American, nor did they achieve the adequate levels of daily physical activity, which resulted in an increase of obesity amongst our children. And this kind of like goes along what we're talking about here. Now, what was the problem? What was the problem in all of that? Well, in the beginning, like I said, they tried to design an intervention program that would eliminate the obesity, and they come up with healthy ones, or healthy eating, which is HE. And they tried to come up with a school-based intervention that would target system-wide policy and environmental factors influencing a child's family, school ability to change behavior. Well, see, this theory was to provide healthier meals to students at schools and limit their access to low nutrient, energy dense foods during the school day and increase frequency and intensity and duration of the physical activity while they were at school. The problem with that, which is good, but you also, as you know, like we previously stated, you have to take in consideration when that child leaves school, what happens at home. So education, we need to continue to educate them and incorporate, good nutrition, teach good nutrition, and along with incorporating those physical activities that coincide together, so when they're away from school that they can practice it while they're at home. Okay, the methodology. Well, they targeted low-income school district that had 6 elementary and 2 middle schools, having a total of 4,033 students. 42% was Hispanic, and 26% was African American, 21% was non-Hispanic or white, and 11% was mixed race. Nevertheless, all the children in the district were eligible for free or reduced meals. All schools agreed to participate. Healthy Ones was a child recruitment. It was a child recruitment enrollment, and retention numbers are shown in the figures 1, which you'll see on down the chart. A total of 827 second and third grades and 446 sixth grade students were eligible for study and approach for consent. Consent forms were mailed home to the parents and collected at the schools. Once parents consented, and they were all obtained, each child was measured at that time. Now, if you want to get a little bit of breakdown, look at the picture to the right. You see, this is more or less what our children are looking like, more or less nowadays. And 57% of girls, 8.9 plus 1.6 years old, have an average weight of 36.8 plus 12.4 kilograms. So what does this mean? Their BMI is 19.36. 43% were overweight or obese. 25% were obese, and the average BMI score was 0.77. The racial ethnic distribution of the study sample was 50%, 52%, and that was Hispanic. And you can kind of look at everything else, but you'll go over and you'll see that it's more or less the focus of this study. They focus more toward the Hispanic because that was the biggest population that was obese. So we'll continue on. Now, steps that they carried out to complete this experiment. They used an assessment of heights and weights, and they've done this over an academic period of 3 years. And you can see to the right where they constantly just they monitored and they measured the students from the beginning and the end, and that was conducted with the 2nd and 3rd and 6th grade children who gave their assents, and those parents that consented for the measurements. Now, what was the data? Now, once the data was assessed for eligibility, you can kind of go down and match by location and size and randomize and see whose consent was signed and who wasn't consigned, and how many was actually enrolled in which school and which ones wasn't. And if you further look down, you look at the nested intent to treat. So, on analysis, on one you had schools 4, and then on the other one, and where the end is that you have the 300, and then on the other one you have 279. What was the explanation of this data? Well, basically in a nutshell, if you break it down, Of those 827 consents that was sent home, 185 never made it back. 445 were returned with a yes, and 197 had no, for a 60. That's basically like a 445 out of 642 total consent rate. In the middle school, of 446 consent forms distributed, 230 didn't come back. 135 was returned with yes, and 81 with no response, which was 63%. Baseline height and weight were collected for 444 second grade and third grade and 135 sixth grade students. Wow. And to further explain it just a little bit more, I mean, if you think about it, they not only did the heights and measurements and everything was taken, these students were being observed outside foods. I mean, they had a ongoing protocol. The students weren't observed outside foods, beverages across environments presented as average items per child. It was observed outside foods in the morning, snacks, recess, playground, and while they were doing that, and also during classroom, school-wide events, and also it was observed outside food, in lunch, cafeteria. So the students were being constantly monitored to see the different snacks and the different foods that were being taken in at the different times throughout the day, to see how they impacted them, how they impacted their overall health. Now, as I was saying previously, as you can see here, you can see where, let's go back one more. Sorry. You can see here, we have a total outside food beverage, and it just basically goes and it monitors what that child was eating, and it goes into, each as a seasonal baseline to kind of give you a better breakdown of the control, intervention, and the control and then the intervention, to see what the difference is and see if it scaled any or made any difference. Now, the discussion of the data. Well, it was primarily just seen for unhealthy foods and beverages, although healthy foods were also reduced in morning and snack and recess and playground environment. But the intervention effects were likely a result of the change the following organizational policies and practices: substituting food and beverages rewards for non-food and beverages rewards, the classroom nutrition services, catering, health, and school-wide events, and doing fundraisers, jog-a-thons, and even adding a nutrition service, prepared fruit snack at recess, and not allowing outside foods and beverages in the environment. Notifications was sent home to the parents, about, not to send anything that was not healthy, and it was written across the board that the teachers also supposed to encourage that, and school staffing to continue that on, to encourage good health, eating healthy and consuming healthy foods instead of consuming unhealthy foods and beverages in their classroom. And basically, the whole idea of this was to turn junk to healthy. So to help the children, to help the students, our children, change their mind from eating, instead of just grabbing hamburger fries. Okay, how about a salad? Not only because a salad's lighter on your stomach versus you eat the hamburger, it makes you sleepy in class, you're not able to focus, you're not able to do what you need to do. Healthy ones implemented school policies, and they begin to sustain lots of changes. Getting healthy. Well, once everything took place, getting healthy came into effect, and everything began to move a little bit smoother. Healthy ones did not focus on just achieving isolated policy. They focused on the food scale. They focused on changing organizational policies, nutrition services, staff, teachers, getting everybody educated. And in my opinion, yes, I think it was very effective. And do I see a rise in obesity? Yes. And do I see further research? Yes, I do see further research that will be done in the future because it's an ongoing process and it's an ongoing fight